My folks secretly planned a Christmas trip and didn't bother to include me. They actually told my cousin, let that selfish one spend the holidays alone. Real nice, huh? A week later, they were kicking themselves when I found out by pure accident. Turns out, it was my cousin Melissa who accidentally spilled the beans. We were just catching up over a cup of coffee when she casually asked, "So, are you excited for the trip?" I blinked at her, confused. "What trip?" I asked. She tilted her head, looking puzzled. "You know, the Christmas vacation. The one your parents booked for the whole family." Her words hung in the air. The whole family. Except me. I chuckled, more out of disbelief than anything else. Yeah, funny thing, they never mentioned that to me. Melissa's expression changed instantly. Her face dropped. "Wait, you're joking, right?" I shook my head. Nope. Not even a hint. And to be honest, I wasn't shocked. Not even a little. This kind of thing wasn't new. My family had a long history of treating me like the odd one out. I picked up on the pattern early in life. My younger brother, Daniel, he was always the golden child. The guy who could crash a car or fail a class and still walk away with a pat on the back. Then there was my sister, Sarah, the baby of the family. She got all the hugs, the praise, the attention. And me? I was just sort of there. Every Christmas, I made an effort. I tried to connect, tried to fit in. Tried to carve out some kind of space for myself in this family that always seemed to have room for everyone but me. And somehow, I always ended up on the outside, looking in. But this? This crossed a whole new line. Melissa shifted in her seat, clearly uncomfortable. "They told me you weren't coming, said you're too selfish. They said you never really do anything for the family, so they figured you wouldn't even care about the trip." Her voice got quieter as she spoke. I laughed again, but this time the sound had an edge to it. Selfish. That was rich, coming from the same people who'd leaned on me every time they needed help. Who had no issue asking me to cover a bill, run their errands, or swoop in when they'd gotten themselves into another mess. And somehow, they always seemed to forget the times I dropped everything to put them first. I could feel the anger bubbling up, but I kept a lid on it. I looked at Melissa and asked calmly, "So, where exactly are they going?" She hesitated, probably unsure whether to say it. "Hawaii," she finally answered. Of course they were. A full-blown luxury vacation. First-class plane tickets. Oceanfront rooms in a 5-star resort. And they didn't even shoot me a text. That was it. Something inside me just broke. I wasn't about to beg for scraps from a family that couldn't be bothered to treat me like one of their own. Not this time. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, letting it all sink in. I should have been furious. I should have been heartbroken. And yeah, I was both of those things. But more than anything, I was just worn out. Worn out from pretending like I belonged in a family that had made it painfully clear, over and over again, that I was never really part of the picture. Worn out from being used, ignored, and then blamed for not doing enough. I thought for a second about calling them out, maybe shooting off a message that said something like, "Hey, hope Hawaii's a blast. Must be nice having a family vacation without including the whole family." But really, what was the point? Even if I called them out, they'd just wave it off like they always did, maybe even flip it around and make me feel bad for saying anything at all. I'd been down that road too many times. Not again. This time, I wasn't gonna waste my energy on people who had made it pretty clear they didn't give a damn about me. So instead, I did something new, something I'd never dared to do before. I went ahead and made my own plans for the holidays. If they wanted to leave me out, fine by me. That just meant I had the freedom to spend Christmas exactly how I wanted, without their passive-aggressive jabs, without the cold shoulders, without chasing after crumbs of approval that never came. And the best part? I wouldn't be spending it alone. I had people in my life who actually wanted me around. Folks who liked me for who I was, not for what I could do for them. People who didn't treat me like some burden or last-minute obligation. So I grabbed my phone and started sending out a few texts. By the end of the night, my calendar was packed. Christmas Eve dinner with my best buddy and his family. Cozy, home-cooked meal, real conversation. Christmas morning? Brunch at my coworker's place. Then after that, a cabin trip up in the mountains with a few close friends to ring in the new year. Snowfall, hot cocoa, no guilt tripping, no drama. And for the first time in years, I actually felt excited about the holidays. Meanwhile, my parents had no clue their picture-perfect Christmas was about to go off the rails. A week later, I was sitting by the fireplace at my friend Mark's house. Hot cider in hand, laughing at one of his terrible dad jokes. Christmas lights twinkled around the room, the smell of cinnamon and baked ham drifting through the air. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. No fake smiles. No tension in my chest. No pretending everything was okay when I felt invisible. I'd nearly forgotten all about my parents' trip, until my phone buzzed on the end table. I thought about ignoring it. Then I saw the name on the screen, Mom. I let it ring out. Not even a full minute later, a text popped up. Call me. It's an emergency. I stared at it for a second, debating whether I even cared. Then another message lit up the screen: your father is in the hospital. I bolted upright, heart skipping. But before panic could set in, yet another text followed: food poisoning. The whole trip is ruined. I blinked. Food poisoning? That was the big emergency? Now curious, I called her back. She answered instantly, voice full of frantic energy. Oh, thank God, she breathed. I've been trying to reach you for hours. What's going on? I asked, keeping my tone as steady as I could. It's a total disaster, she whined. First, our flight got delayed and we missed the connection. We ended up sleeping at the airport. I stayed quiet. Then when we finally made it here, the hotel had no record of our booking. We had to pay extra for a different room, and it's not even a suite. And now, she dropped her voice, your father and Daniel ended up in the hospital from eating bad seafood. I took a slow sip of my cider, fighting the grin creeping across my face. Wow. That's rough, I said, deadpan. She let out a dramatic sigh. That's rough? That's all you have to say? We've been suffering out here while you're off doing who knows what. Suffering? I repeated. In Hawaii? I raised an eyebrow, even though she couldn't see me. Don't be like that, she snapped, the frustration creeping in. Then came the real reason for the call. We need you to transfer some money. This whole trip has been full of surprises, and we're running out of cash. There it was. The truth. They hadn't called because they missed me. They weren't sorry. They needed something, just like always. I leaned back on the couch, letting the silence stretch between us. Then I said, real calm, sorry, Mom. I can't help you. She gasped like I'd just slapped her. What do you mean you can't help? I shrugged, not that she could see it. Well, I'm selfish, remember? That's what you told Melissa, right? Silence. Then, in a much softer tone, she said, so, you heard about that? Oh yeah, I said. I heard everything. Her voice got all tender. Sweetheart, we didn't mean. I cut her off. You did mean it. And you know what? You were right. I was selfish this year. I finally put myself first. And you know what else? This has been the best Christmas I've ever had. She tried to speak again, but I was already done. Gotta run, I said with a cheerful tone. Merry Christmas, Mom. Then I ended the call. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel 1 ounce of guilt about it. As soon as I hung up, my phone lit up again, calls, texts, the whole flood. I didn't answer. I just let it ring. Then came the desperate messages. Mom, this isn't funny. We need money. The hospital bill is insane. Please, don't be like this. We're family. At least send enough for the hotel. We had to downgrade, and your sister is miserable. I chuckled. Oh, now I was family? That was rich. I didn't reply. I just put my phone on silent, leaned back, and soaked in the warmth of the fire. Mark wandered over, smirking like he already knew what happened. More family drama, he asked. I let out a breath, shaking my head. Nah. More like family karma. He laughed. Dude, you're way too relaxed for someone who just got a panic call from his mom. I grinned. That's 'cause, for once I don't give a damn. And I meant it. I really did. For years, I'd bent over backwards for them. I was always the one they called when they needed something. Always the fixer. The helper. The one who showed up. But the one time I needed a little respect? A little basic decency? They packed their bags and left me out of their perfect little Christmas. Now that things were falling apart, suddenly I mattered? Nah. Not this time. I wasn't their emergency contact anymore. I wasn't their ATM. I wasn't their plan B. The next morning, I checked my phone. 15 missed calls. A flood of unread texts. I scrolled through them casually. Mom, we're coming home early. We land tomorrow. We need you to pick us up from the airport. I just smirked to myself. Yeah, that's not happening. I grabbed my keys, headed out the door, and drove off to meet my friends for brunch. While my family was busy dealing with food poisoning, missed connections, and a hotel downgrade, I was kicked back in a warm little cafe, sipping on hot coffee and digging into a stack of homemade waffles. And let me tell you, it felt damn good. Tomorrow, when they landed and assumed I'd be waiting with open arms, ready to forgive and forget? Yeah, they were in for a real wake-up call. That next morning, I woke up feeling more rested than I had in years. No stress weighing on me, no guilt gnawing at the back of my mind. Just this calm, quiet satisfaction, because for once, I'd actually put myself first. I grabbed my phone and checked the notifications. Mom, we land at 4:15 p.m. Be there. Mom, we're exhausted. The least you can do is help us get home. Not. Mom, I hope you're not planning on being petty about this. I stretched out, let out a big yawn, and shut my phone off. I already had my day mapped out, and none of it involved playing chauffeur. Instead of heading toward the airport, I spent the afternoon at the park, soaking in that crisp winter air and enjoying every second of peace. Later, I grabbed another coffee, wandered through a few local shops, and even picked up a couple things just for me, something I rarely did because I was always putting money aside just in case my family needed something. By the time their plane touched down, I was already halfway through a movie with my friends, cozy, relaxed, and not giving a single thought to whatever chaos they were dealing with. Around 5:30, my phone buzzed again. Melissa, dude. They are pissed. I smiled and sent back, oh yeah? What happened? She didn't waste time. Melissa, they had to grab some overpriced Uber with all their luggage. Your dad's fuming, your mom's ranting about how you've changed. Melissa, and Sarah keeps whining that the car smelled like old French fries. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Oh no, I typed back. How tragic. Melissa, might be a good idea to lay low for a bit. But I wasn't the least bit worried. Actually, I was looking forward to the next part, seeing them face to face. Because this time around, I wasn't the one on the back foot. Sure enough, the next morning played out exactly like I thought it would. More missed calls. A fresh wave of guilt-trip texts. And one particularly long voicemail from my mom. Out of curiosity, I hit play. I can't believe you could be so heartless. After everything we've done for you, all these years of supporting you, and you couldn't even pick us up? We were tired, stranded, forced to spend money on an Uber. Your father is furious, and Sarah is practically traumatized. You're so selfish. I hope you're happy. I let out a chuckle. Oh, I'm very happy, Mom. Happier than I've been in a long time. I went on with my morning, made some breakfast, enjoyed my coffee, and appreciated the rare quiet. No nagging, no guilt-tripping, no drama. Then, just around noon, came a knock at the door. I didn't even need to check, I already knew. I took my time, finished off the rest of my coffee, and eventually unlocked the door. And there they were, my parents and Sarah, looking completely drained, annoyed, and clearly ready for a confrontation. Dad spoke first. You've got some nerve. I raised an eyebrow. Nice to see you too. How was the trip? Mom folded her arms tight. Oh, you wouldn't know, would you? Seeing as you bailed on us when we needed you most. I leaned against the doorframe, completely unbothered. You mean the trip I wasn't even invited to in the first place? Their faces shifted just a bit. Still stubborn, still trying to hold their ground. Dad let out a sarcastic little laugh. Don't be dramatic. We figured you wouldn't be interested. I nodded slowly. Right. That's why you never told me at all. That's why you told Melissa I was selfish and better off alone. The silence after that said a lot. Sarah stared down at her shoes, awkward. Mom opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off with a raised hand. Save it. I already know. And you know what? You weren't wrong. They blinked, confused. I was better off alone, I said. Truth is, I had the best Christmas I've had in years. No tension. No judgment. No being treated like I didn't matter. Just me, my friends, and people who actually care about me. Mom's face twitched. Oh, so now we're the villains? I shrugged. Didn't say that. But it's funny how I suddenly mattered again once things started falling apart. When everything was smooth, I was the selfish one. Now that you need help? Suddenly I'm useful. Dad clenched his jaw, but for once, he didn't have a comeback. I crossed my arms. So what is it, exactly? You here for an apology? Or do you just need something, money, maybe? A ride? What's the favor this time? Nothing. Not a word. They'd expected me to crack. To feel guilty. To fall in line like always. But instead, I just stood there, calm and steady, watching them try and fail to come up with a reason that didn't sound like pure entitlement. For the first time ever, I wasn't the one begging. I held the power now, and I wasn't about to let them off the hook. Mom let out a dramatic sigh and rubbed her temples like I was the one being difficult. Look, we didn't come here to argue. I smirked. No? Then why did you come? Dad cleared his throat. We just wanted to talk, as a family. I almost laughed. Now we're a family? Finally, Sarah chimed in, her voice soft for once. Come on, let's just move past it. Christmas was awful for everybody. Can't we just let it go and start over? I stared at her for a second. Sarah had always been spoiled, but she wasn't dumb. She knew full well how I'd been treated. And now that they were back, tired, sick, and probably regretting everything, she wanted to smooth things over like nothing happened? I shook my head. That's not how this works. You don't get to cut me out, badmouth me behind my back, and then come crawling back when it all falls apart. Dad's expression darkened. We didn't crawl. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't you? You called me 14 times from Hawaii. Showed up at my door. That's not crawling? Mom scoffed. You're being ridiculous. I laughed. Yep. Petty and proud of it. She looked like she was about to explode. Fine. If that's how you feel, then we'll just go. I stepped aside and waved toward the hallway. Door's right there. That threw them off. They weren't used to this version of me. They were used to the guy who chased after them, who wanted their approval. But not anymore. Mom paused in the doorway. So that's it? You're seriously holding a grudge over one little mistake? One little mistake? I repeated, calm and steady. No. This wasn't just a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to send a birthday card. A mistake is leaving someone off a group text. But this? This was deliberate. I stepped forward, looked my mother square in the eyes, and said it plain. You made a choice. Now you get to live with it. For once, my dad didn't have that smug, unbothered look on his face. He looked uneasy. Sarah looked like she was holding her breath. Mom just let out a sharp sigh and turned away. Fine. If that's what you want, she muttered before storming down the hallway, my dad following like he always does. Sarah paused for half a second. It looked like she might say something, maybe even apologize. But then she just exhaled, turned around, and left without a word. I closed the door behind them, locked it, and stood there for a moment. Then, I smiled. For the first time ever, I wasn't chasing after them. I wasn't begging for their approval. I wasn't waiting for a half-baked apology that would never come. I was finally free. And God, it felt good. The next few days passed quietly, and I braced myself for the usual cycle. They blow up, check. They try to guilt-trip me, check. Then comes the cold shoulder until they need something. I waited for that part. But it never came. No angry texts. No calls. No sudden "how could you" messages. Just nothing. And let me tell you, silence never sounded so peaceful. For the first time in forever, I wasn't glued to my phone, dreading the next wave of drama. I wasn't trapped in that weird, toxic loop of always trying to be the bigger person. I was just living my damn life. Then, New Year's Eve rolled around, and I got a heads up from Melissa. Melissa, just so you know, your parents are about to pull some BS. Me, what now? Melissa, I overheard them at Grandma's. Apparently they're planning to invite you over for a fresh start dinner. No apology, just vibes. Me, so, same old routine. Melissa, pretty much. According to them, you're the dramatic one. Me, classic. Melissa, wanna crash the dinner with fireworks or nah? Me, tell them I'm busy. Melissa, lol, you should tell them yourself. Me, nah. Let em wonder. I wasn't about to play along with their little charade. I already had plans with people who actually wanted me around. While they were sitting at their table, waiting for me to come crawling back, I'd be raising a glass to something way better, a clean slate, a new chapter, a life without their nonsense. And honestly, I'd never been more ready. New Year's Eve hit, and I didn't even think about them. Not once. I was on a rooftop with my friends, bundled up in a cozy coat, laughing under the city lights, a drink in hand. For the first time in years, I felt light. Like I'd finally dropped a weight I didn't even know I was carrying. As midnight crept closer, my phone buzzed. Mom. Of course. I let it ring. Then the text came through, Happy New Year. We miss you. Hope you come to your senses soon. I snorted. Come to my senses? Nah, Mom. I finally have. A few minutes later, Melissa texted again. Melissa, FYI, Mom's sulking. Dad's grumbling. Sarah's eating her feelings. They really thought you'd show. Me, they always do. That's the problem. Melissa, now they're saying you're childish for holding a grudge. Me, I'm not holding a grudge. I'm holding on to my peace. And this time, I meant it. When the countdown started to 10, 9, 8, I lifted my glass, looked around at the people who actually valued me, and smiled. This was my year. No more begging for a seat at a table that never had room for me. No more guilt, no more games, no more sacrificing my peace for people who only called when they wanted something. 3, 2, 1. The sky lit up with fireworks, cheers erupted around me, and I closed my eyes, soaking it all in. This was the beginning of something real. Something mine. The first few weeks of January were eerily quiet. Not a peep from my family. No phone calls. No snarky texts. Just radio silence. At first, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, they'd finally taken the hint. And then, mid-January, Melissa hit me with another text. Melissa, brace yourself. Family's planning an intervention. I nearly choked on my coffee. Me, an intervention? For what? Melissa, apparently, you've lost your way and need to be reminded family is everything. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. Me, so let me get this straight. They ditch me for Christmas, treat me like trash, call me selfish, and now I'm the problem? Melissa, yup. You're the villain in their new story arc. Me, let me know how that little gathering goes. Without me. Melissa, oh, don't worry. I'm bringing popcorn. And that was that. I didn't show. I didn't reach out. I didn't try to fix it. And guess what? The world didn't stop turning. My life didn't fall apart. In fact, it got better. Way better.